Hello. Today I will show you how you can display the date and time when your data was last refreshed in a Power BI dashboard. The data in your dashboard may not always be real time, and the users may want to know how old is the data that they are looking at. So you could show something like this or this. Fortunately, it's not difficult to build it in your dashboard. Let's take a look. So to start with, we'll go to Get Data and click on Blank Query. The idea here is to create a custom table in your data model, which will be used to store the date and time of data refresh. In this query, we'll start with the function UTC now, which is used to return the current time in UTC. Then convert it to a table and let's give it some meaningful name, date time UTC. Next, we'll add a custom column to store the time zone offset. Now, if your time zone is, let's say, 5.5 hours ahead of UTC, then you could use 5.5. And if your time zone is behind UTC, then you can use a negative number, say -4. Then let's duplicate this date time column and change the data types. The first one, we will change it to date time with time zone. The second one, or the time zone offset, we will change it to a decimal number. And the third one, the copy of date time UTC, we will change it to date time without time zone. Let's also rename this last column. I will call it date time local. Now let's add another custom column. I will call it my date time. Here we will calculate the time offset. For this, we will use a function called add zone, and we will use date time local and an offset from time zone column. Okay. Now here, let's duplicate this column twice. The first one, let's change it to only date, and the second one, we can change it to only time, and also change the names. That's it. Let's close and apply. You will see a new table in your data model here. Now to display, let's insert a text box first and say last refreshed. Of course, you can format it the way you want. Now we'll insert a card here, and in this card, we will use, say, my date and time. Okay, so it will display the date and time in your time zone. But that doesn't look good, right? You may not always want to show this complicated date and time format. So let's change it. Let's insert another card and change the columns. So instead of my date time, in the first one, I will use my date, and in the second one, I will use my time. And of course, you can change the date and time format from a variety of options available here. Let's say this and this. There's another way to show this. Instead of showing exact date and time of data refresh, you can also show how long back your data was refreshed. So something like the data was refreshed 2 days ago or 5 hours back. So to do this, we'll need to create a custom measure or new measure in the data. Let's call it display time difference. I will use variables inside my measure to calculate this. First of all, I need the current time, the time at which the user is looking at the dashboard. So we can again use of the function UTC now to get this. Next, I want to fetch the data refresh date and time from the data model. So for that, I can take it from the uh, date time UTC column from my data. There's only one row, so you can use any function to fetch the data. And then we need to calculate the difference. Now, I understand the way dates and times are stored. It is basically a decimal number in which the integer part represents the number of days. So I want to count the number of days in this time difference. So for that, I can simply say days difference is equal to, and here I want only the integer part and I want to ignore the decimal part. So let's use this function round down from the time difference and ignore all the decimal places. Then I want to calculate the difference in hours, right? So for this, what I'll do is I'll simply uh, uh, take the difference between time difference and the days difference. And then I'll be left with only the decimal part of my time difference, which will represent the fraction of the day. Now from that, I will take only the hour component. So I'll say hour of time difference minus days difference. And then finally, we'll take the minutes component, which again, I can use the same expression as above. Instead of hour, we'll use minutes. Now let's create a custom label that I want to return. So I want to say days difference, days, then hours difference, hours, minutes difference, minutes ago, and then return this label. Now let's create a copy of my previous labels, and I will, instead of my date, now I will use the new measure. Right. So this is how we can show the uh, date and time of refresh, as well as the time difference between current time and the data refresh time. I hope you find it useful. And if you have any suggestions or ideas on this topic, please share in the comment section and subscribe to this channel for more videos. Thanks for watching.